Hello, guys. It is that time of the freaking month. It is literally whatever day it is on the screen. It's still May, and this is our new book club episode. I don't know what month this is. This is like what, the fifth month? Fifth book. Can you believe that? I'm actually reading my books. I'm excited because honestly, the book isn't that exciting, but the fact that I'm actually finishing these books, not record time, obviously, but I'm finishing these books and I'm happy about that because honestly, you saw how many books there are. I have 24. I had them for the last 2 years. Haven't really touched them. Collecting dust as we speak. But I'm getting through them slowly but surely. Anyway, let's get into it. Because honestly, this video should be short. And honestly, it was a decent read. I'll give my rating at the end. As per usual, I give the summary, I give my thoughts, I give if it's a show or not, yada 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 yada. Who cares? You already know the deal. If you don't, watch the newest video over here that shows the last book I read. Anyway, the newest book I read this month is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I think that's what it says because her name is in cursive and I can't really read cursive. Surprising. Anyway, this book I would say a bit boring. But it only had like 346 something pages. So I was like, you know what? It can't be that bad of a read. If anything, it'll be an easy snooze, easy read, right? Took me a month. Don't worry about it. But the synopsis is this woman named Hannah, she married into a family of a guy who has a daughter, Owen and Bailey, right? And Owen goes missing, right? He goes missing after his company that he helped start up with some guy named Yvette goes under, has a whole like scandal, like, oh, they're stealing our money, or it's a financial scandal, whatever, like whatever. And he goes missing. And Hannah's like, where is my husband? Why would he leave his daughter behind? What are we gonna do without him? She works like a furniture maker, so she like makes like tables and chairs and really nice furniture, whatever. But he disappears and leaves them like $600,000 in cash. So they're like, what the hell? Why is he just leaving us with all this money? Where does money come from? Why that this man that she knew, her husband of Owen, isn't really named Owen. His real name is Ethan Young, and he went into witness protection with his daughter Bailey like so many years ago when she was like 4 or 5 and he was like that many years younger, right? Because originally he was married to Bailey's mom named Catherine something. I honestly forgot her last name. But she was killed in like a hit and run that seemed like, maybe the guy who hit her was accidental or whatever. No, it might have been planned because Catherine's dad was a really good lawyer. He was a really good lawyer, but for the other team. So he was a criminal defense. He worked for major pharmaceutical companies that made sure that if you worked in Oxycontin and you were hit with lawsuits after lawsuits with death and malpractice and whatever, he would make them go away, maybe even make them not even lose any money in the process. So he did really well in making sure no one had jail time or had to pay off anything. He did that for years, and it was all very gray area, mostly bad. But they all knew about it. The daughter knew, who was Kate. Owen knew. The family, like his other son, knew, like whatever. But when Kate died, and she's like a Texas Supreme Court judge or whatever, I don't remember, but she died in a hit and run. At that point, Owen basically blamed the father because at this point he was like, "Oh, your connections got her killed because they're not very good people. They clearly have shooters. I don't know. Like clearly they clearly wanted to hurt their family because of whatever the father must have did to to make them mad or whatever. Because they're the kind of like the mafia, kind of like, you don't do this right for us, we don't have second chances, whatever. So essentially, Owen basically snitched on the entire organization because he knew information that only the father could have told him, and sent majority of them to jail, including the father, because he was a part of it, obviously. And in doing so, he got him and his daughter. At the time, her name wasn't Bailey, it was Kristen, but then they changed it to Bailey because when it's protection, they changed her name and identity. And then he was able to like leave that, part of his life and literally move away. I don't know where he lived before. I think it was like Austin, Texas, and then he moved to LA, I think. You think you know someone if you read a book, but not really. And he never told his new wife Hannah because witness protection, right? You're not really supposed to let them know all that information. I mean, you could, but whatever. Anyway, they try to figure out, Hannah and Bailey are trying to figure out what, where he went, what he could have done that made him want to run. They go back to Austin because there's like memories Bailey had when she was like 5 years old. And she's like, this happened when we were like at a wedding near like this really popular college, whatever. they basically figured out like, oh wait, like his real name is Ethan Young, and his dad, like his father-in-law, is looking for Bailey, and has been since he literally put him in jail and then he came back out because he only served like 7 years in prison. Not sure why, but at some point, Hannah goes see like Owen's brother-in-law, Kate's brother. He goes see her. She goes see him, and then she's like, "Do you know this guy?" She shows him Owen, basically without knowing, and he's like, "What the heck? Yada yada, that's my brother." Whatever. She's freaking out because she's like, "Oh, I might have done something bad because I don't think you should be trusted." Long story short, she goes back to him. She trusts him. He basically takes her to the father, who at this point Hannah knows is the guy that went to jail and has a beef to bone, with Owen. And she goes there, and he has like, guard dogs and literal guards with guns. Like it's pretty serious. It's pretty serious. But she's there, and she's trying to like bargain for Bailey's life because there's this other option that they have if they were to find Owen. It's like they can be put into witness protection again, changing their names, changing their identity. On this time will be with Hannah, so they don't have to be found but by the father-in-law, the person that Hannah went to go see at this moment. But she doesn't want Bailey to go through that again because at this point Bailey is 16, right? And she's a child, like she shouldn't have to like change her whole life again, even though the first time she doesn't remember because she was like 5, but this time she will remember. And essentially she goes to his father-in-law, who is the not so great lawyer but really good at his job, and she basically tries to not bargain for her life, but spare her. Tells him to tell whoever is putting out these hits on her husband to not put hits out on Bailey and Hannah, And he's like, why would I do that? Yeah. He loves Bailey, but he doesn't like Owen. He hates Owen for what he did to the family, even though it's like gray area, but not really gray area. I'll talk about that more later. He kind of like blames Owen because he's like, oh, Owen knew what I was doing and didn't have a problem with it until after my daughter died. And I was like, what? Like, anyway. But long story short, he realizes that he does want his granddaughter to have a good life, and when they see him and not have to run away again, like she did the past several years without knowing. So he puts in favors to make sure that Bailey and Hannah are basically spared, but says that if Owen ever comes back, or his real name Ethan Young, if he ever comes back into the picture, if he ever is found again, there is no guarantee he will live. There's a good chance, pretty heavily implied, that he might not make it if he's found anywhere near Hannah and Bailey, just because like the father-in-law is looking for him, but also other people are looking for him who has literally been like, oh, this guy wronged us, whatever, right? So she takes that gamble because she's gonna lose her husband, but she wants to save the daughter that the husband loved, right? And that's literally the entire story. Literally, they get out of going to witness protection because he promises no written contract, but sometimes you don't need one because it's your life on the line, right? You take what you can. But she basically just goes and be like, oh well, I have to tell Bailey now. There's a good chance you won't see her father anymore because if he comes back, he will die. Long story short, he will basically just he will be gone. He will be gone from this world. So yeah, that's basically the entire story. And then there's a like epilogue of like 5+ years later. It's literally not a description. It's literally called like 5, 10, or 15 years later. Like they don't know. Time is a blur to them. But she's a little bit older. Bailey's in her 20s now, and she's dating some random guy. I don't know who it is, Shep or something. And as I said before, Hannah does artwork for furniture. Like she makes tables, chairs, anything wooden, right? And she meets this guy who like drops his papers near her, or drops her papers accidentally, whatever. And he looks familiar, and it's Owen, but he's obviously disguised with a beard and all this hair and whatever, so that he doesn't get seen, because even if he came back, he will still be like looked for. Like you don't just have like a statute of limitation on when I should get murdered, right? So literally, she sees him, and he sees her, and he just like says something that's not like real, like hello or I love you or anything. He says something coded that basically means that like, he's still like looking out for her and Bailey, whatever. And then he just leaves. Like he doesn't really talk in her face. He kind of like talks to the ground while talking about her, right? And she knows she can't like go say hi. She can't like say, I love you or anything like that, because literally he's on the run, and he will forever be on the run until the day he dies. But since he's able to figure out where she is in this like art gallery, and potentially even know that Bailey is coming to the same art gallery, he is watching over them. Does that suck? Yes, because their whole husband is gone. Bailey's whole father is gone, and she's like in her 20s now. But she's like happy. She's with Hannah. The Oh yeah, there was a concession for the father-in-law to make Bailey safe. Other than the fact that that's his granddaughter, he wants to meet her, and she has like cousins or whatever who would like to meet her as well. And I'm sure they meet her throughout the years that they don't talk about, but I'm sure like one at a time. But that's the entire story. And if it sounds crazy, I'm sorry, I did not do a great job. But realistically, a lot of it was just like, who is Owen? Why is he like lying about things? And what was this protection against Bailey for? But that's the entire story. Long story short, he goes missing. They found out he's under witness protection, and he went missing literally because he didn't want his picture out there. Because if his picture is out there, it'll be real obvious to people who are looking for him that like, hey, this is the guy we're looking for who like snitched and may go to jail. Yeah, so he ran on a run so that wouldn't happen, and stayed on the run because he was like, I'm not gonna die and put my family at risk, which didn't happen because Hannah was able to bargain for Bailey's life as long as like they're like able to not change their life. But anyway, that is a summary, and it's been 11 minutes. Oh my god, guys, I'm getting better. It's also a short book, but I'm doing better at these. Anyway, the actual meat of this story. One, there is a show. I know that because one, there is a sticker that says on Apple TV. I've not watched it because why would I have? I don't think it would be a very good show in my opinion. In the book, the author does talk about how they're making a show, and this book came out in 21, literally 4 years ago. And I don't think it'll be very good because even when I was reading it, it wasn't boring, but I was just like, okay. Not like, it has a lot of parts that you're like, okay, this could be dramatized a lot heavier in after production, but it's not going to be dramatized based on the book because the book is kind of boring, in my opinion. And just by reading it, I'm like, if this was a show, I'd be really bored because a lot of it is just like trying to figure out who he is, going through like kind of like analytic ways. Like they go to the school that he went to in college, and they have to look like a bunch of yearbooks to figure out who he looks like so they can figure out his real name. And in doing so, they like go to this bar because Bailey had a memory of like a bar when she was 5 and turned out to be the right bar. Yeah, a lot of that. So it's like a lot of like scavenger hunt, right? Which I don't know if that'll make a very good TV show. I mean, they might just change it up because it's TV. And I'll put a trailer somewhere here, to literally talk about what the trailer was. If it happened. If it didn't happen, then if it's still in the works 4 years later, I mean, they should just cancel it. It's not that good. But overall, the book was good. I would give it a sweet 7 out of 10. I don't really know how my rating system is. I can't even tell you if 10 is good. 10 is obviously good. But I will say, for this book specifically, the last few chapters felt not only kind of rushed, but also just like kind of like indifferent to like how I would expect the story to go. I mean, I didn't expect, bullets flying and someone getting hurt or anything like that. But it did feel like it kind of like gave like the cop out answer of like Owen has to stay missing, and all of this was for his family, and Bailey and Hannah could live out their lives. It kind of felt like a cop out, considering that like the entire storyline we don't really know about Owen. Like the storyline starts with him going missing, right? It starts with him going missing, and then there's flashbacks in the book about like how she knew him and like their conversations together, and how a lot of it was like white lies because you couldn't really tell the truth, but a lot of it was like, I could tell you a personal story and then want to be bad because I'm not going to use my real name or real family or anything like that, So it's just like, okay, we knew him through flashbacks, and like that one or a few times we actually got to like hear his voice, whatever, but we never got to see him and really experience what he would have thought for himself outside of what either his father-in-law thought, his brother-in-law thought, his friend from the U.S. Marshal thought. Yeah, there's a lot of people, but like everyone just had an opinion about who he was, and we never got to hear from the guy himself, which I guess is like, you don't want to come back if you don't want to die. But to me, it just kind of felt like you wanted to push a story that didn't even have the person who was run away. So that, to me, I don't know, it just kind of felt a little flat to me. Like this whole time you're kind of building up to be like, we'll see Owen again and he can explain in his own words, but it's like everyone had their own preconceived notion of what he would have thought. And I mean, you can be right about him wanting to save his daughter, that's the obvious answer, but then to be like, oh, he would want to make a bargain with the father-in-law, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but like, he hasn't been in his book at all. He's been in his book in flashbacks. It's like, imagine if your favorite character was only in flashbacks and all the supporting characters talked about him in a way of them knowing them. You're just like, where's the main character? It's kind of crazy. It's the same thing, literally. So to me, it was like, oh, I was like waiting for something to happen and never really did happen. Like there was no real climax until you like found out he can't come back, and then you kind of expect him to just die because you're like, well, if he can't come back, he should die, and then he didn't, and you're like, okay. Like at that point, you might just live with them and then just actively go out your way to go be like, witness protection of your own kind because they're both in there, whatever. And Hannah and Bailey's in her 20s, so she can do her own life, and they can literally make a day of like going to Bali or something, and they would never know. Like, oh well, I mean, obviously the father-in-law would like track Hannah or whatever, but like if they go incognito, who's gonna stop them? I don't know. I thought there was so many ways because in this story, Owen is like a really good like software developer, or whatever that means. I don't know what the heck he did for that company that went under, but you would think he would be like, oh, let's go off the grid or something, go like, have a day to ourselves, but they don't do that at all. And I'm just like, why is he a coder? Like, I don't know where that came from because he did school in math. But anyway, that's one gripe I have. The other gripe I have, which you kind of have to know more if you read the book, but I'll do my best to like explain it because I didn't really explain it very well. The father-in-law tried to like not convince Hannah, but like tell his side of what happened and the whole like what happened with his daughter dying in the car accident, because Owen thinks because of the father-in-law working with like bad people who were in the Oxycontin incident that occurred some whatever years ago, that one of them got mad because father-in-law lost the case or didn't do his good job or whatever, and they killed his daughter as a warning, like, oh, this could happen to you, whatever. And Owen was like, oh my god, like your family's shit, like let me go put y'all all in prison. And the father was lying. It's like, why would he think that way? Which I'm like, what do you mean? Why would he think? Anyway, but he was like, oh well, she was like a Texas Supreme Court judge. They already had beef with like energy companies because they literally were going to get cut in profit because they wanted more renewable, whatever. And literally right after she died, like her boss got sent like a dead bird in the mail because they like really were hating him or whatever. And he's like, that's not a coincidence. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, two things can be true. But I don't know. In the story, it just kind of felt like the father-in-law could not see a possibility in which Owen could be right, in the sense that if you do bad things come back to you, right? And the whole idea of Owen knowing what the father was doing before Kate died, right, seemed to be like, oh well, he was complicit, so why would he be upset after my daughter died? It was like, what are you talking about? Like, I would be upset if someone I knew died and I was working in like shady business. The first people I would ask are the people in the shady business, like, did you hurt them? And they said no. I'm gonna be like, okay, proof you weren't there. And then I would go and be like, oh, this, at the end of the day, this is your family we're talking about. Like, you have to always think about them. And for the father-in-law, almost kind of felt like he couldn't believe Owen would like see this as like a slight. And I'm like, all he ever did was try to protect Bailey, whose real name is Kristen, but who cares at this point. But yeah, that was like mainly my whole gripe with the book. It wasn't that big of a gripe. I think most of the book was fine. It was kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but it kind of felt like plateau after a while, because as I said, you don't ever see him. You don't ever read about him, right? You just hear about him through other people. And even then, you don't get the whole truth about who he is. Like, even the U.S. Marshal, who's like not friends with him, but he got him to witness protection the first time. He literally helped him like get into witness protection, and then didn't tell Hannah about like, oh, like what made them leave their original hometown to like have to go so far away from Texas, because there was a leak that caused them to like realize they're not safe in the government. They can't trust them. We never figured out the leak. We never figured out what the U.S. Marshal knew about Owen and why he wanted to protect him so much, other than the fact that, whatever. And it was just like, this whole man has history. We don't know anything about it. And then other people have history done. We know like the basis of what Hannah should know. But to us, it's like, oh, I guess he's just a loving husband who loves his daughter. And it's like, I mean, yeah, but if that was all, we wouldn't have this story, right? If it was all we had to know about this man, we wouldn't be sitting here trying to be like, oh, great areas within like helping people with like Oxycontin deals. Like, no, we would just be like, oh, well, he just wants to save his daughter. Why must it be like 20 other people trying to spin it in like different ways? Like, no, he wants to save his daughter. We get it. Like, what? But no, I just think the book was okay. I don't know how books become bestsellers, but this is a New York bestseller. I mean, she has other books as well, so I assume it's not because of this book specifically that made her a bestseller. I think. Oh, well, I think all her books are bestsellers or combined. But I don't know. I feel like this book is like real basic. It's not really that like I don't want it to be like thriller or whatever, but it definitely gives me a vibe of being like, oh, this book is like makes you think. It makes you think. Like, no, I don't gotta think about like if you work for like companies that do morally bad things that could possibly like hurt a lot of people. Even if you get them off and everyone knows that you're doing it, the moment something bad happens and they're all pissed at you, yes, they're complicit to what you did. It doesn't make what you did any less wrong. But in the book, he's like, oh, he knew that I was doing this. He had no gripes. He even helped out with some of them. And I was like, okay, then shouldn't you also be switching sides? Anyway, it was literally the end of the book that happened. And so the fact that I'm not talking about any of the rest of the book goes to show you it wasn't much to do. But yeah, that was the entire book. And that's the entire analysis that I have personally. I don't know how people do book talk, but this is how I do book talk. It's not on TikTok. But yeah, honestly, the book was okay. Literally called The Last Thing He Told Me. The last thing he told her was to protect her. That's literally the two words he used, protect her. For some reason, he wouldn't just put protect Bailey. It was sent directly to her. But, I mean, listen, I'm not the guy who didn't show up in the book. So, that is what happened. It was a good book, but I will say Hannah had like the worst end of the deal. I mean, yeah, Bailey didn't get to see her father, and that's shitty too. I mean, obviously, right? But Hannah only knew this man for like 2 years before they got married. And when I tell you, I was like, 2 years, girl. You know this man 2 years, and then he got married, and then this happened, right? You really had barely any time to spend with him. I mean, yeah, Bailey had less time, but she's 16, right? So like, she should see her father more, obviously. Pretend that she didn't exist for a second. She only, like, Hannah got 2 years. She got 2 years with with her husband, and has to, take care of his daughter, which she loves. She loves her daughter, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, imagine you living with your husband for, like, 2 years, married or not, and you legit have to find out that he went missing, and he had to stay missing. You'd be like, really, man? Like, 2 years? Like, take me with you at least. Like, let's take a vacation once a year. Take me off the grid or something. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to put them to do something different. I've just seen too many TV shows where it's like one person goes missing or they're presumed missing, and the loved one is like waiting for them, and then out of nowhere they come and like take them to a vacation, or they like be like, oh, I'm here, yada, and then go out and do whatever they want, and then they be like, okay, I'll be back next year, and you're like, okay, I'll wait for you, whatever, right? I kind of expected that in this book, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know how it works in the real world, right? But I'm like, if you're smart enough to like not be caught for so many years, even if your wife or whatever can like literally be like surveillance, I'm sure you a software developer can like make sure she's not surveillance long enough to literally be like, oh, I'm just gonna go have a day with my wife and then come take her back, and then I'm gonna go my separate way, she's gonna go separate for next year. I think that makes total sense, because I'm sure he's like saving money or whatever, doing whatever he wants, and looks different every year. Because like, what the hell am I gonna do if you're watching me from the far end? You're my husband. I can't even talk to you. And then 50 years go by. Are we just never gonna see each other because there's a good chance one of them could be alive 50 years from now? That's fucked. I will say. I don't know. Some people are stronger than me. Clearly. But 2 years later, and it's just like, nope, gonna be me. But that's all I gotta say. Clearly, I'm not married. Clearly. But I wonder how many people would just be agreeing with that, right? I mean, I guess it depends on your background and who you are, but I don't know if I could ever be like, oh yeah. I mean, what else? What's the other option, right? What's the other option? Find myself and live with him, I guess. We both go off the grid. We leave Bailey, like, bye, we'll see you next year. I don't know. We'll make it so that we see her and not the other way around. But yeah, that's the entire thing. This is our 5th book. I don't know what book we're reading next, but this is Thursday. I think it is the 30th, the 29th. Oh my god, it is May 29th, and this video should be up by Friday or Saturday, one of these days. But I'm still doing my skincare video, which obviously this won't be a part of it because that'll be too long of a video. And I've already talked for like 24 minutes, so we can't do it, right? But you can still keep watching my skincare video. Oh my god, am I posting 2 videos in one day? Wait, I can't do that. Okay. Oh boy. One of these videos is going to be pushed to Saturday. I didn't think this through. I'm so used to having one video a week for 2 weeks, and now I have to realize I have to post 2 videos, and I'm probably posting them at the same time. I don't have a good enough algorithm numbers for that. Okay, one of them is gonna be on Saturday. I'm gonna quit. It'll be fine. Anyway, I will see you guys in my skincare video. Honestly, you might have already seen my skincare video. It might be up by tomorrow. It honestly might be up on Saturday. If it's up, you will see it here. If it's not up, you will see the last week's skincare video. It is short, I promise you, it's less than 10 minutes. Please watch and give me your advice on skincare, because, not skincare, self-care. I got good skin sometimes. I'm really oily today, but sometimes I have good skin. I need advice on what to do at home that's cheap and inexpensive. Two the same words. That's cheap. I can do at home, and I can do by myself. And don't say a spa day, because I feel like I don't like those. So anyway, I will talk to you guys for this specific video next month, and I will see you guys either tomorrow or next week. So see you guys.